granted these amenities. Stores all along the streets. You walk in, you buy things. Ah, the Soviet economy was planned. Everything planned from the center. No competition, nothing but what the government thought was in the common good of everybody, the best way to do it. So what you had is you had separate stores. You had the bread store, you had the dairy store, you had the meat store, you had the vegetables and fruit store, and they're not next to each other. So what would you do? You want bread. Well, you go into a bread store, and you get online, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And then you get up to the front of the line, and you tell the woman behind the counter, well, I'll take one loaf of rye, pumpernickel, wheat, that's assuming there's any bread. But if you're at the lucky day at the right time, there's bread. And so now she gives you a little receipt. And you wait, go to a second line, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And what's the second line? That's where you pay. So now, after you've paid, the cashier gives you a receipt that you paid for the pumpernickel, the wheat, and guess what you do now? Good. You go on a third line, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And this is the line where you give the receipt to show you paid for it, and they give you the bread. If by chance after going through this, there really is any bread left. Okay. That's how you did shopping. And what's the phrase? Man does not live by bread alone. Well, I want some dairy products. I want some milk and cheese. Well, you go to the milk and cheese store, and guess what you do there? Line 1, this is what I want. Line 2, you pay. Line 3, you have the receipt to pick it up. And now you go to the meat store. And now you go to the fruit and vegetable store. And now, you know, the soft drink store. They sold soft drinks. You know, bottled water and their version of like orange carbonated drink in a different store. That's how you did your shopping. The idea that you know, to make it consumer friendly, guided by the profit motive, wouldn't consumers find it more attractive to be able to buy everything in the same store? Yeah, we can make a profit by making it convenient for them. No, that never entered their mind, because they are not into the profit motive. They're planning this as the planners think is good to arrange these things. Now, of course, this does not mean that the goods are in the store, because the government sets up an annual, or actually a 5-year central plan. How much bread will be produced, how much milk will be manufactured, how many clothes or shoes, and so on. The central authorities, determine what would be produced, in what quantities, in what varieties, distributed in what parts of the country. And if it had nothing to do with the pattern of desired consumer demands for different goods of different qualities and varieties, that didn't matter. The government is planning from the center for the good of society. So the demander adjusts to the supply that the government chooses to produce. Opposite the Kremlin is a large department store complex called GUM, G-U-M, across the Red Square. Now, of course, it's post-communism. It's filled with Western boutiques and stores. Everything you can imagine in London or Paris or New York, or even Nassau, you know, is right there in Moscow. That's not how it was under communism. So what you had is you had sort of this L-shaped department store, okay? L-shaped department store, like a, okay? L-shaped, excuse me, U-shaped department store. And so U-shaped, 3 levels. So I'm in there, this was 1990. I'm walking through, going, stores are empty, hardly any goods on the store, on the shelves, shoddy, poor qualities. I'm on the 3rd level, okay? And I'm looking down, diagonal, at the 2nd level, on the other side of the U. Okay? And there's one long line. One long line. I gotta check this out. Why, this must be a hot item. Long line. What is it? Women's underwear. There's only one problem, comrade. One size fits all. Adjust with safety pin. Much more efficient than this redundant, many styles, many colors, many sizes under bourgeois capitalism. This efficient, one size, all women. Adjust with safety pin. Socialist utopia, here we are. Okay, I'm not joking. This is their system. This is the system they have. Now, Everything, of course, was free in the Soviet Union, right? Socialism, free health care. Right? Free health care? There was no more privileged and class-based society than the classless regime of the Soviet Union. There were the clinics and hospitals for the ordinary citizen. There was the clinics and the hospitals reserved exclusively for the managers and those in the pecking order of the Communist Party. And then the clinics and the hospitals for the upper party officials. Clinics, special shoe stores, special food stores, special vacation locations around the Soviet Union, all based upon one's pecking order in the hierarchy of industrial and planning managers or in the hierarchy of the structure of the Communist Party. And if you didn't fit into one of these pigeonholes, tough luck on you. Oh, the Soviet Union had free medical care. The problem is that since there was no profit motive, guess what? No pharmaceuticals. Central Plan decides this much of pharmaceutical A, B, C. Not enough to satisfy consumers and patients in the hospital? Don't worry, maybe include the next 5-year plan in 5 years. No profit motive. You're in the hospital, you're ill, you can't get up to go to the toilet, you need a bedpan. Be sure to have a few rubles in your pocket to bribe the nurse or the orderly to bring the bedpan. Now you've done what you need to do, you better have a few more rubles to get the orderly or the nurse to take the bedpan away. I met my wife there. She had been married before. She had then a 15-year-old daughter. She came down with hepatitis. No medications. Oh, the proper pharmaceuticals, antibiotics, were in the clinics and the hospitals for the party officials, but not for the ordinary Soviet worker, citizen. No, no. So you know what I had to do? I was back in the United States. She calls me. Her daughter is very sick. She can't get the medicines, not from any connections, no attempts to bribe. So I went to a friend of mine. I was teaching at a place called Hillsdale College in Michigan at that time. The husband of one of the other professors was the head of the emergency room at the local Hillsdale hospital. I contacted him. I said, look, here's the diagnosis from a Russian doctor. There's no pharmaceuticals. He just writes a prescription for me. I go to the local pharmacy. I get it, pay $20, and I'm flying off to Moscow about 3 days later, and the drug saves her daughter's life. But at least it was all free in the Soviet Union. Yes, everything was free to die from. Now, if I can be perhaps intimate, people sometimes have sex. You've heard this. Now, it is a known historical fact that if people have sex, it is possible that little people might result. I read this in a book somewhere. There were captions under the picture. Anyway, so now in most parts of the world, if people are going to indulge in this, but don't want to have the reproduction, there are various forms of birth control devices. Okay? The problem was in the Soviet Union, the Central Plan did not include birth control pills. And it didn't particularly include male prophylactics, condoms. And the condoms that they did produce, I was told, were not found particularly attractive or desirably to be used. I'll leave that to your imagination. Anyway, but the bottom line is that the result is that there was a huge amount of, as they say, unprotected sex. Forget about the potential diseases and stuff. The fact is there were far more pregnancies than, to be honest, unmarried or even married couples wanted to have. So the primary method of birth control was abortion. The average woman in the